Hey guys, it's Vaughan from Your Career Mastery, and today we're going to be talking about one of the best pieces of career advice that I ever received. So the advice comes from a guy called Jim Rohn, who unfortunately is no longer with us. But Jim Rohn was a personal development speaker in the 90s and was very much the predecessor to guys like Anthony Robbins. In fact, when Anthony Robbins was actually learning the ropes to become a personal development coach and strategist and presenter, he actually shadowed Jim Rohn to learn from him and sort of learn the ropes in the industry. But the awesome nugget of advice that I learned from Jim Rohn that has really stuck with me to this day is that we are paid in proportion to the value that we bring the marketplace. And the big distinction here is that we are not paid for our time. We're not paid for our time, we're paid for the value that we bring with our time. And not only are we not paid for our time, but paid for our value, but we can increase our value. We can't increase our time, and obviously unless we work more hours, but if we want to earn more per hour, you need to increase your value. And the great news is you absolutely can. And he also says that in order to have more in our lives and in our careers, we must become more. So let's bring it back to that first point around how we are paid in proportion to the value that we bring a company. Now, if I look back to the first jobs that I had early on in my career, even the first jobs that I had literally working as a teenager, I did letterbox drops. So I literally dropped pamphlets from some homeware store into people's mailbox. That paid really not much at all. I worked in the stockroom of a surfing store called Jetty Surf here in Australia that sold like surfing clothes and like thongs, or what do you guys call them in the States? I worked catering jobs, so I worked at like corporate functions and events, filling up wine glasses, putting food on tables, all that good stuff. And after I finished university, before I landed my first career job, I actually worked in a refrigerated warehouse, which was great experience in some ways, but also quite a grim job, if I'm honest. Didn't matter what temperature it was outside, I literally had to wear boots and thermals and jackets and t-shirts every day because I worked in a fridge that was temperature controlled at 4 degrees, and also sometimes worked in the freezer that was temperature controlled at minus 18 degrees. This is Celsius, not Fahrenheit. So in other words, very, very cold. In fact, just thinking about it now brings an absolute chill to my soul. But in almost all of those jobs, I was very replaceable. The skills I had were very common. Really doesn't take a lot of skill to pour wine into glasses or to pick stock off a shelf in a warehouse. And so I was paid in proportion to the value that I was bringing in those roles. And the value of that skill set, which if that skill set's in abundance, it's not gonna be paid very well. Now, if I contrast that now to where I am in my career, I've worked in a digital marketing agency as a content writer specialist. I've worked for an insurance financial comparison site or a fintech company here in Australia where I was a content manager. And I now work as a content and SEO manager in the DCOM team for a global billion-dollar FMCG company. I look at the value that I bring the company that I work for now based on all the skills I've built and all the great experiences and projects and challenges that I've worked through over the years in my career, and all the intellectual capital I've built up from working with really smart people and networking in the businesses that I've worked in. It's pretty clear to see why I'm paid a lot more now than when I started in my career. But the great thing about this concept is that we can control the pace, or have a lot more control over the pace of our development and our increasing of value than we think. You shouldn't be relying on the company that you work for to be in complete control of your professional development and your skill development. If your value is not increasing at the rate that you would like to see or what you would expect, you need to go out there and get your own value and increase your skills at your own rate. And this is really fantastic because once you start doing this, the opportunities for you are literally limitless. So coming back to what Jim Rohn said before, that in order to have more, we must become more. So how do we do that? Well, the great thing is there's many ways, and you can pick a style that's best suited for you and your career. Essentially, we need to become smarter. We need to become wiser. We need to be able to make better decisions and have better judgment. We need to improve our analytical skills, our communication skills, our leadership and our organization and our project management skills. And we need to get better at seeing the big picture and being strategic and really understanding the nuts and bolts of the businesses that we work in and the industries that we work in as well. So how do we achieve this? Well, there's a few key ways. Firstly is books. Books are a great way to increase your knowledge and increase your skills and increase your ways of thinking. I personally like to read history books because I find getting a big picture historical view on things helps me think long term, and it helps me think about trends and opportunities and not just get caught up in the micro of where I am now in my career, but rather start to see the big picture of how things can change over centuries, because that really helps me set my brain up for opportunities and also keep up with the pace of change and stay flexible and stay adaptable, because it reminds me that things change in our world and we constantly need to be adapting to that rate of change. But you can absolutely read business books if that's what you're into, because that can be a great way to build your business acumen and build specific skills and knowledge sets in particular areas. But another great way is through your own personal experience, as well as through the experiences of other people. That's why it's so important throughout the year and at the end of the year to take time to reflect on your career. What's working well? What's not working well? What can be fixed? What skills you need to learn? Where are your knowledge gaps? Essentially do an audit of your year and of your career and see where are the areas of improvement, where are the gaps, and also what are the big opportunities that you want to go after in your career. Taking the time to reflect on your own personal experience and really mine that experience to find the nuggets that are in there will really go a long way in setting you up for learning from those experiences and getting the most value out of your days on this planet. And then there's also learning from other people's experiences. So this is where you really want to have mentors in your career that you can learn from, that you can ask tips from, that you can just really pick their brain to understand what is the roadmap for you in terms of your success and your next big move in your career, but also what were the mistakes that they made that you can learn from and that you can avoid in your career and in your career path. And I'll put the link to the Jim Rohn video in the description below. And it's only about 13 minutes or so, but seriously, I watch this video almost every single year and I always get so much value from it. It's a great refresher to understand what are the key things to go after in your career, what are the key principles to move forward and unlock growth and opportunities for you in terms of landing your next bonus, promotion, or your next dream job. And this is why I'm really passionate about professional development, and I pretty much harp on about it in almost every single video that I put out. Now, professional development does not sound sexy. Everyone wants to talk about how do I make more money? Well, this is how you do it. You become more valuable to the marketplace. Looking at opportunities for you and understanding what is the next step for you in your career, and then reverse engineering what you need to do to get there. What skills you need to build, what experiences you need to have, what projects you need to work on, what achievements do you need on your resume, and what buy-in or alignment or stakeholder engagement do you need from the people in the business around you to support you on that journey. These are real tactics. It's not airy-fairy theory. These are the things that are going to make the absolute difference in your career in the short term and the long term. I'm Vaughan from Your Career Mastery. Hope you found this video helpful. If you did, hit subscribe and hit the like button. But also, if you've got any questions or comments, leave them below in the comments. I'll get back to you ASAP. Hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.